Hi everyone, my name is Steph. This is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a video where I'm going to talk a little bit about how I have set my Kindle up for 2026. If you have followed along on my channel for any period of time, you will know that I love to have folders and collections on my Kindle as a way of helping to organize the books that I have. I use them a lot for my TBR, try chapter videos and things like that. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about my setup. Now, I was inspired to start organizing my collections after some videos I saw by Izzy from Happy for Now. This was a couple of years ago, and she's recently done another video on how she's organized her Kindle, and I have used some of those ideas to reinvigorate some of the things that I was already doing. But if you followed along on my channel, you will have seen the evolution of this progress for a while, but this is kind of the updated where we are now. I'm going to show you on two different formats. So I'm going to show you really quickly how you can do this on your desktop Kindle app, and then I'm going to do it on my iPad, which is my preferred method of how I prefer to organize everything. I just find it easier on my iPad. That said, you can do it on your device. It's a little bit more fiddly. I prefer not to do it that way, so that's the only reason I'm not going to show you on the actual device. Jumping on to the app. So usually when you open your Kindle app on your desktop, it will open up on, what do they call it, on the grid view, which is just all of your books. But if you go into collections, you're able to bring up and organize collections. You can add a collection, you give it a name, you create it, it creates a folder, and then you can go through and select titles that will go in there. So you can see here I have quite a few collections, and I did have a bit of a play around this time on organizing things on the desktop. It drove me a little bit nuts, which is why I'm going to show you my preferred method. But I just thought I'd quickly show you how you can find your collections and create new collections on your desktop, just in case that's what you want to do. All right, so this is my iPad. I should not do that because it's going to flip the screen around. But this is basically when you open up the Kindle app on your iPad or whatever device you're using, you'll get your homepage. If you click on library, my library is always set to my collections. So again, same thing as if you're on your desktop, you can select how you want to view it. My default settings are always collections and titles so that they're organized by title. And I used to have all of my TBR books, so my unread books, sorted by unread, which meant they were further down the list. But I did see in Izzy's recent video, which I thought was a really great idea, was putting a 0 at the start of it so it automatically defaults to the top, which is really handy because the thing that I'm always looking for on my Kindle are my unread books. The collections of things that I've read are really there if I need to go and hunt for something later on, but usually I'll use the search feature up the top to help me find whatever it is that I need to find. So having all of my unread books at the top of my list is actually a much better system, and I'm kicking myself for not having thought of that sooner. So thank you, Izzy, for continuing to inspire me to refine my practice. And what you're going to see is that I have a number of different TBR folders. So I have all of my ebooks sorted into the year that I acquired them. So it's not their release year, but it's the year that I acquired them. So you can see that I have one that's, ignoring this 10 years one, this is more for my 10 years of being on BookTube folder. But my oldest unread ebook is from 2019. I have one of those left. I've got one in 2020, 15 in 2021, etc. and so forth. So I use those to help me read down my TBR. And obviously the most recent year, 2025, has the most books because that's probably the one that I've done the least amount of work on reading down, which is just the way that it is. Then I have a whole bunch of other collections based on different kinds of groupings, mostly things or categories that I read often. So I have my Amazon First Reads because I do actually have those and I want to make sure that I'm reading them if I'm downloading them. I moved all of my anthologies out of my yearly TBRs and put them in their own category. I have quite a few of them. I have plans for how to start reading those down again next year. I always have plans for how to read them down. I do get to them eventually. Then I have unread Australian authors, BIPOC authors. I have my Christmas books, which you will hopefully have already seen a video where I'll hopefully have read this down and this number will be significantly smaller. Comics, graphic novels, and manga, my hockey folder, my kids in middle grade, Kindle Unlimited. This one is just so that I can help keep everything organized and keep all my Kindle Unlimited downloads in here. Paranormal romance, queer books, review books, sci-fi romance, books that I acquired on Stuffy Kindle Day. And then you'll see I have a group of author folders. So these aren't TBR books anymore. These are books that I have already read, and they're usually authors I've read quite a few books from or authors that I have loved in the past. Now, I used to have more of these. I actually, when I did my clear out, which I probably should have filmed, but I kind of did it in the middle of the night one night because I was bored. I actually got rid of a stack of the author folders. So I'm like, I don't actually read many of these authors anymore, so they can just go into other folders. But authors like Alexis Hall, Annabeth Albert, you can see I've read 27 books. Cole McCade, I've read more because his series has more, but these are just the ones that I owned. Evie Mitchell has 26. Alona Andrews, I've got 43 books. There's a lot of authors in here that I've read multiple books from. So keeping them all together kind of made sense in my head. Then I have my DNF folder. I have fanfic. This was mostly 911 fanfic when I went through my massive 911 fanfic reading phase earlier in the year. I've started a all-time favorites folder, which is interesting because I don't have all of the ebooks for all my all-time favorites, but I have started collecting them and I will add them into this folder as I, have the ebooks. I read Australian books, which I probably actually need to fix up because I don't think that's everything. And then all sorts of different categories. So BIPOC classics, some genre stuff, some general categories, etc. My redneck alley arcs, nonfiction, like anything that I can think of in terms of categorizing books. I did do a massive tidy up of this as well. And by putting red in front of it, it just means they're the books that I've read and it keeps them all together. And then because I like to separate out my romance books, they have a separate section. So instead of doing red romance, I just did romance. And then I have all of my subgenres and my other categories that I use to sort and organize the romance books that I've read. So they're all there. They're now at the bottom, which also makes it easier because before they were right in the middle of the list, whereas now they're at the end and it makes it a lot easier to find them. So you might be asking, okay, well, what do you do? So usually in your collections, if you don't have anything that has been sorted into a collection, they're here in this uncollected folder. So at the moment, I only have 4 things in here that are uncollected. You can see 2 of them are Kindle Unlimited titles. So if I select multiple items, I will plop these straight into Kindle Unlimited, and then they'll disappear from in here. Let's download the covers for these. I know what they are, but just for ease of you guys seeing them. So this one is a NetGalley arc. So I'm actually going to add it to a collection. I'm going to put it in 2025, and I'm also going to put it into review books. And then Burned in Stone is technically part of a series that Evie Mitchell is writing, but this is by Megan Wade. So I'm just going to put it in TBR 2025. That clears my uncollected titles folder. And then what I do after this is I'll actually come into my 2025 folder and I will go through and then I will add all of the new titles that I've added to this 2025 folder to my spreadsheet of unread Kindle books. This is the easiest way I have of keeping track of what I haven't read on my Kindle. And it's also gives me another option for searching for things if I need to. And through my spreadsheet, I'm able to then track stats and things like that. So this system is really working for me at the moment. It's been really useful and really handy. If I stop sharing this, I wonder if I've got my spreadsheet open. Let's bring this up. This is the unread Kindle books in my spreadsheet. It's really simple. I just have the year I acquired them. I have the title, the author, the length of the book, the status. I like to put in the page numbers because occasionally if I'm looking for something short, I want to know if the book's short or if it's long. But over here, I have all of my totals, and then it's calculating the totals of read and DNF and what is unread. It gives me the percentage of what I've read from my digital TBR, and it just kind of helps me keep track of everything. You guys know I like a list. I like collections. I like grouping things. I like having things easily accessible to me, and I like being able to have multiple ways of searching for different titles in different ways, sometimes visually, sometimes as a text list. That's how my brain works. And so far this system is working for me. And I think having played around a little bit and having refined some of my categories on my Kindle collections and whatnot has helped organize my brain a little bit, especially given everything that I've been going through recently. It just kind of makes sense for me to review things and decide how to streamline the process a little bit more. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of inspiration or incentive. Like I said, Izzy has a really great video. There's stacks of videos on how people organize their Kindles out on YouTube, so you can definitely do a search for them. This is just my take on it, and it works for me. And I think the main thing is being able to find a system that works for you. Since I moved to organizing all of my unread Kindle books by the year that I acquired them, I'm finding I'm getting through the older titles much, much quicker. And that has probably been the best thing that I have done in terms of my organizational strategy on my ebook devices. And I will not go back to doing it a different way. So having the other categories of unread books is nice, but the year ones are the ones that are highly motivating for me, because I do not like having books sitting unread for a long period of time, which is totally fine for anyone else. This is entirely a personal thing, but it stresses me out. So this is the system that works for me. No judgment to anyone else who doesn't care, because collecting books and reading books are two different hobbies. In my brain, I need to read them down, otherwise I start to stress out. But in the comments, I'd love to know, do you use collections on your Kindle? How do you organize them? What's your favorite way to organize collections? Feel free to share all of that down below. Otherwise, if you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave any kind of device emoji to let me know you're here. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.